Welcome to part 2 of Deathtrap Dungeon, a fighting fantasy live read by me, Orcs. In this episode, we find one of the other competitors in the dungeon. We eat some strange meat, and definitely avoid all the sparkly things. If you find yourself at episode 2 without having listened to episode 1, you can find that link in the notes below. So sit back, relax, as we continue our adventure in Deathtrap Dungeon. You arrive at a stone table standing against the wall to your left. On it there are 6 boxes, one of which has your name painted on its lid. If you wish to open the box, turn to 270. If you prefer to continue walking north, turn to 66. Alright, so here comes the first choice that we have in Deathtrap Dungeon. Thank you, Sassy Mofras. We are going to... might as well open it, right? What could possibly go wrong? I wonder if any of the other boxes are open. 270. So that's the entry we're going to jump to. The lid of the box lifts off easily. Inside you find two gold pieces and a note written on a small piece of parchment addressed to you. After placing the gold in your pocket, you read the message, which says, "Well done, at least you have the sense to stop and take advantage of the token of aid given to you. Now I can advise you that you will need to find and use several items if you hope to pass triumphantly through the Deathtrap Dungeon. Signed, Succumbit." Memorizing the advice on the note, you tear it into pieces and continue north along the tunnel. Turn to 66. Alright, sweet. So we got some gold. We're going to add that to our... above everything else, because we're likely to find some other gold pieces. It's going to be interesting what we're going to use gold for in this. And of course we're going to abbreviate GP for gold pieces. So we got 2 GP. Alright, we're headed north. 66. Now this is going to be interesting. Everybody has to be extra patient here, because what we're going to do is we're going to map this out on the one side here too. So after walking down the tunnel for a few minutes, you come to a junction. A white arrow painted on one wall points west. On the floor you can see a wet footprints made by those who entered before you. It's hard to be sure, but it looks as though 3 of them followed the direction of the arrow, while 1 decided to go east. If you wish to head west, turn to 293. If you wish to head east, turn to 119. Alright, so you guys make that choice. I'm going to draw a quick map here. East and west. Alright, east is 119. Ahead, you see a large obstruction on the tunnel floor, although it is too dark to make out exactly what it is. The wet footprints you have been following carry on towards the obstruction. If you want to continue east, go to 56. If you'd rather go back to the junction and head west, head to 293. Well, we're headed this way anyways, so I think we should probably just keep going. Yeah, we're going. 56. You see that the obstruction is a large, brown, boulder-like object. You touch it with your hand and are surprised to find that it is soft and spongy. If you wish to try to climb over it, turn to 373. If you wish to slice it open with your sword, 215. Now that's a weird thing to try to do. Spongy. Slice and dice. Go past it. I don't know. Now, you know what? I don't want to really... Yeah, I agree. We just keep going. So let's climb over it. 373. You clamber on the soft boulder, half expecting to be engulfed by it at any moment. Getting over it is difficult, but your limbs sink into its soft casing, but eventually you manage to struggle over it. Relieved to be back on firm ground, you head east. Turn to 13. Good. Okay. Weird spongy boulder. The tunnel makes a sudden turn to the left, and you head north as far as you can see. Making a quick note here. 13, making a left. The footprints you are following start to peter out as the tunnel becomes gradually drier. Soon you're beyond the dripping roof and the pools on the floor. You notice the air is becoming hotter, and you find yourself panting even though you're walking quite slowly. In a small recess on the left-hand wall, you see a section of bamboo standing on its end. Lifting it down, you see that it's filled with clear liquid. Your throat is painfully dry and you feel a little dizzy from the heat in the tunnel. If you wish to drink the liquid, turn to 147. If you do not wish to risk drinking the liquid and would rather continue north, turn to 182. Alright. Kind of like the fact that there's some liquid here, and it's like, how much do you trust, right? What's being put out in front of you? It's kind of that first setup that they had in the with the box. So yeah, I think so. Let's chug a chug. Proper hydration, I agree. Okay, so let's go drink the liquid 147. The water in the bamboo pipe is welcomely refreshing. Add 1 stamina point. It also contains a magical solution which will enable you to be exposed to the melting point temperatures without harm. Discarding the bamboo, you start off north again in good spirits, 182. Now, we can't get higher than our initial stamina. That doesn't really do us anything, benefit us too much, but we are, we can survive melting point temperatures now, which is amazing. We'll have to remember that, 182. The temperature continues to rise and you find yourself dripping with sweat. As you struggle on, the heat intensifies until you feel like it feels like white heat and becomes so unbearable you begin to pass out. If you drank the liquid from the bamboo pipe, yay! We did that. Turn to 25. If you did not stop to drink, you probably die. Alright, 25 it is. Although the temperature in the tunnel is higher than you could normally tolerate, the liquid from the bamboo pipe keeps you alive. Did I call it or what? Good job, Sassy. 197 is where we're going. Mercifully, the temperature now starts to drop rapidly and soon it feels almost cool again. In the left-hand side of the tunnel is a closed door. It has a small iron plate in it, which might possibly slide open. Will you try to open the door? Try to slide the iron plate or continue north up the tunnel. We're going to open this door on the left-hand side. 171. I think we said open door, right? Right. We're not going to do the plate first. 171. We're just going to bust right in. The door swings open into a small room, but before you know what's happening, you find yourself falling through thin air. There was a pit behind the door which you did not see. You land heavily on the bottom and wince in pain. Lose 4 stamina points. The pit walls are roughly chiseled and have plenty of toe and finger holds, so you're able to clamber out quite easily. You curse your own eagerness and tell yourself to be more careful in the future while entering rooms. Inside the room you see 2 iron hooks on the wall opposite the door. A coil of rope is hanging on one of them. You put it in your backpack, jump back over the pit, and leave the room and head north. Oh, awesome. Okay. So we've got rope, and we lose 4 stamina. I'm just going to quickly bookmark that, and we'll add that to our inventory here. Rope, and we'll adjust our stam. And we're going to 326. Ahead you see that the tunnel turns sharply to the left. You turn the corner, it almost bumps straight into 2 fierce-looking orcs, armed with morning stars and wearing leather armor. You are totally unprepared, and as you draw your sword, one of them swings its morning star at you. Roll 1 die. You roll a 1 or 2, roll a 91, 3 or 4, or 5 or 6. Wow, totally random. Here's the illustration. Wow, I like that illustration. It's pretty awesome. Alright, so let's roll a die. Let's cast the die, as it were. That's a 5. 380. I have no idea how this is going to turn out here. The Orc's Morningstar crashes into your shield and bounces off harmlessly. Woohoo! The tunnel is too narrow for both of them to attack you at once. You're able to fight them one at a time. First Orc, second Orc. Okay, let me explain how combat works. We have skill and stamina here for each of the Orcs. What's going to happen is I'm going to roll dice for the Orcs. The Twitch stream is going to roll for the us, the adventurer, who is still nameless, by the way. Let's find a name for that. Suggestions welcome. Sassy's doing it here. Sassy is doing its exclamation point roll if you want to get a roll in. Double 2s. So we're going to add that value from Sassy's roll to our skill, which gives a 13. And I'm going to roll 2 dice for the Orc, add it to their skill, and we'll go from there. If we're higher, they lose 2 stam. If we're higher. Alright, so they rolled a 9. which is 14, and we got a, what was that, 13? Oh man, this is going to be deadly. All right, so we lose 2 stamina on that one. Roll again, Sassy. Or anybody else in the stream is welcome to exclamation point roll. Oh man, we're getting smoked by this orc. That's not good. We're down 4 stamina already. Seven. Okay, hopefully this is going to be good. That's a 12 on their part. That's just my good rolling. Too many years of dungeon mastering. Okay, if you keep rolling, I'll keep rolling for the orcs. Let's beat a 12. There we go. All right, so they're down by 2. We need to hit them 3 times. Actually, you know what? We're gonna, yeah, we'll do that. They rolled a 6 for a total of 11. 13 and 13. We win ties. So orcs have been defeated. If you win, turn to 257. I wonder how the orcs got down there and what's the ecosystem? How do they live down there? Inside one of the orcs' pockets, you find 1 gold piece and a hollow wooden tube. You put your findings in your backpack and set off west. Turn to 164. Alright, so head off west to 164. Orcs. So we have a wooden tube and a gold piece. Hollow wooden tube. Sounds good. Let's add that to our backpack real quick. And we'll go from there. We're rich now, you know, 3 gold pieces. 164 is our destination. As you walk along, droplets of water again start to falling from the ceiling, tunnel ceiling. You see wet footprints made by the same boots that you followed earlier heading west. The footprints lead you to a closed iron door on the right-hand wall of the tunnel, but do not seem to go any further. If you wish to open the door, turn to 299. If you'd rather keep going west, turn to 83. All right, so we're going to open the door. 299. The door opens into a large chamber where you're shocked to see one of your rivals who has obviously met a sudden, gory death. It's one of the barbarians, and he's impaled on several long iron spikes which are fixed to a frame that has sprung out of the floor. A lot of rubbish and debris litters the floor, concealing a hidden tripwire which he must have stepped on and thus released the spiked frame. In the far wall is an alcove in which you can see a silver goblet standing on a small wooden table. Will you walk over to search the barbarian, walk towards the alcove, or close the door and continue west and say, I'm not having any of that. We're getting out of here. Wow, that is that's some Indiana Jones style speculation there. Nasty. Alright, what do you do? Search the barbarian. Get that sweet looking cup, which is kind of weird looking actually. Or just get out of here. Search B. Oh, search the barbarian. You can totally do that. 126. The pouch on the barbarian's belt is empty apart from some strange looking dried meat wrapped in a cloth. Will you eat the dried meat? Leave the meat and walk over to the alcove if you've not already done so, or leave the chamber and head west. Our stamina is pretty low. We could possibly recover it. If that was the barbarian's beneficial thing that was left for him, then we could totally do that. I think we should eat the dried meat. 226. The meat contains herbs which will increase your strength. Add 3 to your stamina score. You may either walk over to the alcove if you've not done so already, 91, or leave the chamber to continue west, 83. Well, I think we want to check out the alcove. The barbarian was pretty curious about this as well. All right, let's continue walking forward to this alcove, being super, super careful about traps. 41. You walk slowly over to the alcove, carefully checking the floor for any more hidden traps. Good job. You see that the goblet contains a sparkling red liquid. Will you drink the red liquid, leave the goblet, and go back to search the barbarian if we haven't, or leave the chamber and continue west? Now, I don't know that we necessarily need... I mean, this seems kind of weird that you know, they usually have like a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes those things get paired up, but I don't know. If we drink it, could be just be straight up poison. We already got kind of one healing in here, which would be interesting. There's all kinds of other effects that these kinds of books have from various things, but I'm kind of leery of drinking red liquid. Sassy is going for drink the liquid. All right, this is a live read. 98. Let's do it. Adventure. Lifting the goblet releases a spring catch, and a dart shoots out of the wooden table leg. Test your luck. If you're lucky, turn to 105. If you're unlucky, turn to 235. All right, so here we go. This is how we test our luck. Our luck score is 11. The first person to do a roll in the stream is going to be our roll for this luck score. It has to be equal to or less than our luck score. If we are lucky, our luck goes down by 1. Because we can't always rely on luck, but then we will hopefully be lucky. All right, Sassy says we are lucky. So we're going to turn to 105 and then reduce our score by 1 in a second here. Your reflexes are sharp and you quickly jump aside. The dart whistles past, only just missing you, and thuds into the opposite wall. You see the goblet lying on the floor and the red liquid running away in rivulets over the gray stone. At least the goblet may be of use, so you put it into your backpack. If you have not done so already, you can check the Barbarian. Otherwise, leave the chamber and continue west to 83. All right, so we have a goblet and 1 less luck. So let's add those to our inventory real quick. 83. We are off and away. The passage soon leads to a junction. You notice more footprints on the floor, possibly as many as 3 pairs heading north from the south passage. You decide to follow them. Turn to 70 or 37. The passage opens into a wide cavern, which is darker but much drier. Ahead you see footprints gradually fade, then disappear. There's a large idol in the center of the cavern, standing approximately 6 meters high. It's about 18 feet. It has jeweled eyes, each as big as your fist. There are 2 giant, stuffed, bird-like creatures standing to either side of the idol. If you wish to climb the idol to take the jewels, turn to 351. If you wish to walk through the cavern to the tunnel in the opposite wall, turn to 239. Here's the illustration. That's pretty cool. Something else we should do is... that we didn't do in character creation, which we're going to do just now, is take name suggestions for our character. So I need a suggestion for what we're going to be doing. We want to risk taking the idol jewels, or whether we're going to, and what our names might be. So you guys decide that. I'm going to take a quick drink, and we'll go from there. It's a trap. Tater. Okay, I think Tater's a good last name, so I'll suggest the first part of this name. 1 second here. Jim Tater. I was gonna do this. Hold on, let's see. How about that? Or, oh, hold on, even better. Like Edgar Allan. I'll just leave it like that because that amuses me. Good old potater. Alright, so 37 is the idol. And we're going to ignore the eyes because everybody else ignored the eyes, and we'd be... if they didn't want them, then we don't want them either because we're smart. We're going to go to 239. Not much farther down the tunnel, you come to a closed door to your left. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently but hear nothing. If you wish to open the door, turn to 102. If you wish to keep walking north, turn to 344. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider a like and subscribe as we continue our adventure in Deathtrap Dungeon.